Okay, hi. I love Zooble too much, and I'm gonna try to analyze this like 4 frame sequence we have specifically that should have been the new trailer because I think it's very interesting and very telling, mostly because we just don't see a lot of Zooble in the rest of the trailer, aside from the beach portion. But we have the very worrying 4 single frames of Zooble lying here as it slowly gets lighter in the scene. Um, and even though we can't really tell much from it, I feel like we can tell a lot from it. So, like, first, what are we looking at here? We're looking at Zooble laying here, in a pile of their own parts. Most notably, they're Zooble's parts from. This is the preview for episode 7, the beach scene. So this is all of their parts from before they donned the beach outfit, which is notable to me because that means this is, of course, before or after the beach scene. That's not very surprising considering we know the majority of the episode isn't going to take place at the beach, and none of the other people in any of the other scenes are in their beach outfits. But it is worth noting. First of all, Zooble's head is not attached to their body. We know that based on the pilot and like other parts where they fall apart, that their neck is either a separate piece entirely or attached to their body specifically. So in this, we can tell, like, I don't think this isn't their neck. Their neck is very skinny. Their head is loose here, but they're in a pile of their own parts. And even though these are the same, like, we have the white wing here that's the same here. We have their left arm right here, but it's actually positioned on, like, the right side of their body. Their antennae are the same, which is still attached. And I believe this blue square in the corner is probably their chest piece that they have here, or some other portion of their arm or cube that's right here. What I find most interesting about this, though, is this like little green piece in the corner. More specifically, like, it is such not a shade of their parts that's on the rest of their design. They do have a like claw hook for their right hand this episode that we can kind of like see, but this isn't the right color for it, if that makes sense. Like, this color is the same pretty much as their bangle, but they're very different in the lighting of the scene. So is this a different Zooble part? And that would bring up the question of, like, okay, where are they at? Like, are they in their toy box? Are they in, like, where are they at where they have access to more additional Zooble parts? The other thing, this piece back here is a little bit more ambiguous. I think it's their peg leg. You've kind of got that, like, lighter colored dome, the purple strip, and then the different divided sections. So this could be the yellow dome, the purple section, and then that lighter orangey part there. It does bring up the question, why the hell, like, what caused them to fall apart in this scene, in this moment? We don't really, and that's also the concerning part, is even in these 4 frames that we have, the only movement that we get is the scene getting brighter. They're not, like, their eyes are closed, they're kind of squinting, but there's no, like, they're not tensing their eyes more, they're not opening their eyes or in the process of doing so. So it's difficult to parse what context is this in. Like, something I thought of when I was looking at this earlier was that potentially this is Zooble sleeping, even though it's a very tense sleep, of course. I don't actually think that's the case, most notably because, one, when would they be sleeping in the midst of the episode? And two, because Zooble, I'd like to predict that this scene takes place after the beach portion. Also because of this blue background, we don't know if this is like the inside of their box. I don't think the inside of their box is blue. And the blue kind of matches the same shade as the like rest, like these ominous rooms that we see throughout the rest of the trailer. And most notably why I don't think they're asleep. They could very well be knocked out. I don't think this is like the beginning of the episode. Like something I had thought of previously was like, okay, maybe this is the beginning of the episode. Like we find out some weird quirk of Zooble is that they like sleep in their part box or something. But that wouldn't make sense to me because a big part of Zooble's character is that they wake up every day and they choose the parts that feel appropriate to them in that day. Or at least that's how I've interpreted their, like, they change parts every episode, right? So it doesn't make sense for me for Zooble to already be sleeping in the parts that they're going to choose for the day unless that, like, selection process happens before they go to sleep. So I think this is definitely later on in the episode. Something has happened, and that worries me. The only other like glimpse we get of Zooble in this episode, aside from of course the beach sections, is specifically in Kane's sort of, I'm trying to find where it is, the labyrinth that shows up very, very briefly here. I am fairly certain we see 5 figures here, which is very worrying, considering there's 6 characters in the show. I'm 60% sure, I'm betting this, we see 5. There's one here, one here, one here, one here, one here. 5 in total. Unless this isn't actually someone, this is just a part of the pattern on the floor, which is very well could be. Same with this, which would only leave us with a group of 3, which is almost, in my opinion, like less concerning, but still concerning. I feel like this figure up front almost certainly has to be Gangle, which I think would be the only mention of Gangle during the entire episode. But I feel like it has to be Gangle because the physicality is so... They're broad, they're a little slouched, but more specifically, they're very, like, they don't have a well-defined body. They're very slim, and that, like, lightness of the body there makes me think that we're kind of seeing, like, the light that's passing through their ribbons, and that puts them in front here. And then we have 2 other figures. I'm betting the second one is Zooble, although it could not be. And this is Ragatha or Pomni. I think this is... It could also be Kinger. It's so hard to tell from just the silhouette, but I believe this is Gangle and Zooble up here. And this... I would not be surprised if this is a scenario where, like, we have a group traveling up here, and then someone's trailing in the back. Maybe this is Jax, or maybe this is Kinger after whatever, like, confrontation they ended up having. Or maybe this is just a pattern on the floor. It's so hard to tell. I really don't want to... I don't want to fill up the tiny time I have staring at this when we could, in fact, be staring at Zooble instead. But... yeah, I'm so scared for the role that Zooble is going to play in this episode, because we've had ominous foreshadowing between their relationship with Kane, and more specifically, we've seen the signs of Kane becoming more unstable. But at the end of episode 6 and in the previews for this episode, of course. But I don't know what that means. I doubt... If it were such an important scene, I would really... Like, I don't think they're dead here. I don't think that's the case. I don't think... They haven't abstracted, of course. I think maybe this is a, like... Like, maybe they fell down a pit kind of scenario, right? And they've landed and popped apart, or... they landed in one of those dark rooms, and this... is the door opening on them. Right? Maybe this is a kind of scenario where, like, oh, just spouting here, like, Pomni has pressed the button, everyone's passed out, the doors appeared, like, this might not, like, maybe everyone else is also passed out in this room. It's so hard to see because everything we see in this frame appears to be Zooble's. The only ambiguous stuff is, like, this line back here, which could be the upper line of the body, if this part does end up turning out to be their right arm. And then we have a little bit of purple up here, which is probably their foot or something. I don't think it would belong to anyone else unless it's more blue than purple. Then it could be Pomni. Yeah, I'm very worried. I'm sorry, I talked for 10 minutes about this, but I love Zooble. I don't want anything to happen to them. I want them to get more merch and live a long and happy life and kiss Gang on the mouth, and yeah, that's all I have to say.